lots of elephants. They're doing a lot of tricks, and to train them, they have to use whips, and the protesters will tell you these things. So, how do you feel? Does that worry you? Are you okay with it?
I'm assuming, you know, those animals will be well taken care of.
So you're assuming? Okay,
yeah, I'm assuming.
What are you saying to families that come by? Are you saying anything to them?
You know, the animals in the show you're about to see have been severely tortured in order to be able to do the tricks that they're going to be doing for you tonight.
You know, I just like people to see what they're going to be looking at in there, and they won't be seeing this image, but they will be seeing elephants being used for their own entertainment, and to consider what happened to those elephants, you know, to get them to cooperate.
And most people are really horrified when they realize that they're beating these animals to make them perform. Oftentimes with these heavy metal tipped rods called bullhooks that really closely resemble fireplace pokers. You know, and some people may look at an elephant and think, you know, they look like they have tough, thick skin, but really they're so sensitive that they can feel flies land on them.
The fiberglass bullhooks that are used nowadays, they're not the metal ones of years past. Are there any out here that I can see, or are there?
You have to have one to go into the pens, and he'll have one with
Well,
him.
see, that would be interesting, because I've been interviewing the protesters outside, and that's one of the main things that they've been telling me, is that these bullhooks, their skin is so sensitive, one girl told me, that they can feel a fly when they land on their skin.
That's not true. That's not true, although I have seen a fly land on their skin and draw blood. I told you the conservation issue is huge to us. When you see the show, it's like the tip of the iceberg, but the real thing is to keep the species alive on the planet. To me, the whole notion of in the wild is kind of, unfortunately, because of the state of the planet, it's a romance. They're not free in the wild. They're not free to eat when they want to eat, drink when they want to eat. They're not free to breed when they want to breed. They fight to the death for breeding rights. They don't have to do any of that with us. So, if part of that bargain involves relationships that would not have existed in the wild, I frankly just think it's a different way of increasing their likelihood of surviving and having a full, rich life.
And kids can go to the IMAX and see elephants out enjoying life with their families in their natural habitats. And kids learn a whole lot more from seeing animals in that way than they do from doing these really silly tricks.
You know, with Karen carrying a basket, the dog jumping in, I mean, tell me, how does that have anything to do with natural behaviors?
Well, surely you wouldn't see a dog jump in a basket carried by an elephant in the wild. So, you know, I don't see that is anything. What's wrong with that?
How do you bring this up to families with small children? I mean, when you're out here protesting, you're trying to talk to people, do you talk about that in graphic terms, or how do you soften it, or if you do, for families?
Well, we try to make sure that we have a wide variety of materials that are age appropriate for kids, and then, you know, some of the more graphic materials for adults. So, for example, this evening we have coloring books that basically just talk about what, you know, wonderful and interesting animals elephants are, and how, you know, just like kids, they really want to be at home with their families. You know, they don't want to be performing in the circus. Parents are receiving copies of the undercover footage and copies of photos from Ringling's Baby Elephant Training Center in Florida that we received from a former trader who worked there for several years.
You know, they're very disturbing to look at, especially this one.
Well, see,
but it's all, yeah, what do you say to that?
I don't know, he's learning to lie down. Now, once he understands lie down, and this is all physics. It's just physics with us. Only a third of them.
This isn't teaching an elephant a trick. This is just
no, that's
teaching
for a husbandry behavior. They have to lie down.
What about, the last thing I wanted to ask you was, what about the transportation? You know, you hear about them being on train cars for 24 hours at a time.
Never.
Tell me what...
They can't be. We have to follow the USDA guidelines, and we have to stop. They can be on 12 hours, but they get cleaned out and fed and watered, but then it's a huge process.
Train cars for 24 hours. Ever.
What's the longest then that they're traveling?
The most they ever travel in one stretch.
Well, we have had like 18-hour rides, but they stop and offload them.
So can you tell me, have you been successful one-on-one when you've talked to the public out in front of the circus? Were they responsive to you or not?
Absolutely no. I think you know, most people are very compassionate and they don't want to support cruelty to animals, but they just don't know about what's going on behind the scenes of the circus.
They beat and whip the baby elephant.
about the lions and tigers.
Why you guys are here? What compelled you to come out in the fall and the wind to protest the circus?
Because somebody needs to speak up for the animals.
What do you think goes on?
I think the animals are tortured and they suffer in order for people to be entertained, and that's not okay.
Furthermore, the message is pretty clear here that there's something wrong with the circus. And what's wrong with the circus is that they abuse animals.
So, why are you out here protesting the circus?
Because they hurt the animals, they beat them, and they always remember every single thing. We love animals. They have feelings too. Just because they're not humans doesn't mean that they shouldn't be treated nicely. Living things should be treated just as good as we are. What if it was like you or anything? Like what if it was like what Martin Luther King Jr. did? Like he made sure that everyone was treated the same way and everything. Well, think about it like that in a way, and then how would you feel about it? How would you feel if you were one of them? Because it's wrong, and everyone, and it's not right. I mean, everyone who thinks it's okay is because they probably lived around it their whole lives, and they can't, they don't feel like changing it, and everything. So really, if we just make a difference in everything, then maybe people will see that they shouldn't treat any of the animals